One of the things, of course, we really want to achieve on the Marathonbet podcast is that you get involved with us and these deadly sins over the weeks. If you go to @MarathonBetPod on Twitter, that's the best way to get in touch with us. Several of you have been doing it already when we just asked a general question. What do you think is the biggest sin in football? Some of them very serious, some of them rather lightweight. Andy at Come Back In Club says, time wasted. The clock needs taken away from the referee and independently timed from the stands. Stop the clock when the ball is out of play and then bang on 45 minutes. We're definitely going to go that route, aren't we?
I think so. I think it's right as well. I used to sit in the stands as a chairman going crazy about it.
Alex Arn, at Alex Watts, I'm not going to read out that whole number, Alex. Alex Arn, very simple one. Socks pulled up over to cover knees. Alex, you want to get something important to worry about, mate?
Yeah, I know, but it used to get on my nerves as well. It's up there with snoods, isn't it?
Then those things that they couldn't wear anymore because they were pulling each other back.
Yes, that's what I mean.
This is from Martin. You either call Gillett, or Gillet, I'm not sure which.
Them, yeah.
So-called away kit's being worn when there isn't a colour clash. Arsenal, Watford, Manchester City are serial offenders in the EPL, but many more are guilty. Unless the referee decides there's a clash when traditional home colours should be worn by both teams at kit crimes.
That money.
Yeah, but also, it's a quirk of the English language here. I was banging on the other day. I have a slight amount of colour blindness. It's the right disease to have. Slightly interesting to women, but it's not going to kill you. That's always I always think about it. It's a male disease. And I said, look at that kit clash. And someone said to me, hang on, Danny, you want a kit clash, don't you? You want the kits to be different. You want them to clash. He was exactly right. We pretend that the kit clash is what's the problem. It's actually what we need. Finally, for these ones, don't forget, you can get in touch with us at Marathonbet Pod on Twitter. This is from Monkeyface, who says, commentators referring to Javier Hernandez as Chicharito. What's wrong with that? That's his nickname.
Yeah, but I do get annoyed by that. I used to get annoyed by...
Of course you do.
Deli Ali having his name on the back of his shirt. It's Deli. You know, your name is Ali. You know, I had Neil Paddock come out one day with Razor on the back of his shirt and nearly garroted him.
You haven't got enough to worry about either then.
No, not enough.
What about Kun Aguero? He's got his nickname and his surname.
I'm not happy with it. I think there should be a way that the players' names are represented. It should be their surname and that should be the consistency. And it's not about the players. Oh, I feel I've been called this week. Do as you're bloody told.
Okay, finally, the last time I'll say this, we really, really want you to get involved in what we've been saying. Have your say about that each week on the Marathonbet podcast, or responding to individual sins as they come up on that same address all the time at Marathonbet Pod, and each week we will read out the best, most controversial or stupidest of your ideas. Yes, coming up here on the Marathonbet podcast, next we'll be choosing our sinners of the week, who is going to go into our sin bin that will move on week by week till it's full up. But before that though, we've got to do our charity bet. Now last season, thanks to the generosity of Marathonbet, Simon and I were asked to pick 3 winners from anywhere in football each weekend, and the winnings that we got would lead to fantastic donations for charities. I have to say we did terribly at it, but Marathonbet blessed them. Said, all right, we'll still give the money to the charity. So over £500 went, in my case, St Joseph's Hospice in Hackney, in Simon's case, to the very good cause of prostate cancer. So we're going to pick again, we're going to try and do better this season. We're going to pick 3 games each, and Dan from Marathonbet is here with us. Will give us the odds on those and probably try and steer us to a more successful conclusion than last season. Welcome, Dan.
Hi, Danny.
Good to have you along. Simon, do you want to start with your 3 games?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Norwich versus Chelsea game is going to heap more misery on Frank Lampard, so I'm going to plump for a Norwich win. Do I go on to my next one?
Go on to your next one,
okay. I think Arsenal are going to come undone at Liverpool. I think that's much of a challenge on that one. And I've picked a 50-50 game, but I'm going to go down on the sides of West Ham United when they play away to Watford, and compound Watford's miserable start to the season.
Yeah, interesting. I do agree with your first 2. Even the third one, you look at Watford's performances, I think they've let in 10 goals in the last 3 games, 2 in the Premiership this year, and obviously the FA Cup
off the back
final.
of a bad finish to the season last year.
Exactly, so they are struggling, so they do need to try and get a win. So you've gone for Norwich to beat Chelsea, Liverpool to beat Arsenal, and West Ham away to Watford.
Okay, listen, thank you very much for those. In my case, Simon won't like this, but there's a big derby on the south coast, and I think Southampton are just another team, a bit like Watford, has a terribly jittery start. and I think these things are very hard to come out of. And Brighton, some of their new players have made a decent beginning to their careers there with the Seagulls. I've gone for Brighton to beat Southampton in that game. Then I'm going against what I normally do. Never bet on the away teams in football, but two of them I think have got a real chance. Sheffield United will take on Leicester in Sheffield. I think Leicester City are a really good team. They should have won at Chelsea. I'm going to go for Leicester to win at Sheffield United. And then down in the leagues, Cardiff, of course, had an awful result this weekend. Beat 3-0. Looked like they were going to beat 6-0. I'm sure that anger will have been expressed in their dressing room. They will go to Blackburn, a transformed team under Neil Warnock. I'm going for Cardiff to win in Blackburn.
Perfect, yeah. Brighton 6-4 at home to beat Southampton. I think, obviously being a Brighton fan myself, it's been a very positive start.
I'll try and keep him with the Governors. Don't worry about that.
So Brighton 6-4 at home to beat Southampton. Leicester, who come off a very positive display at the weekend against Chelsea, at 57-50, and Cardiff, who've only had one win since they've gone down from the Premiership, 179-100. So your treble is Brighton, Southampton, Leicester to beat Sheffield United, and Cardiff to win against Blackburn.
And I reckon all 6 of those are going to come right. It's going to be the start of a glorious campaign in which we rack up millions for our chosen charities, and which Marathonbet will have to pay out.
Let's hope so.
One little thing that we like to do at the end of each of these podcasts, as we go through the 7 deadly sins and beyond to the sins that you want to talk about, is each week we'll take somebody who is committing the sin that we've been discussing, in this case anger, and I'll start happily with someone put in the sin bin, and at the end of the series we'll have built up virtually we'll have built up a team of top class sinners. We talk about anger this week. I think Jose Mourinho is the angriest man in football now in the world. Although he goes on the television now and he speaks beautifully and he's always got a two grand shirt on and all the rest of it. Can you get a 2 grand shirt?
Can do.
Oh right, he's got a 2 grand shirt on. But underneath, I think he is seething, because each job he's done in the last 5 or 6 years, since the calamity at Chelsea, has shown him that the game is moving further and further away from him. He's still a good manager, I get that. But the way that Pochettino, that Klopp, that Guardiola look after their players and the management skills that they've displayed show that the game is changing, and he was the greatest manager in the world. And now, he, despite all the soft words and the jokes in 5 languages, I believe he's about to explode. There's a volcano inside that man. He's my angry sinner of the week. Who's yours?
I think mine's quite a controversial one. It's going to be a double-sided pick. It's going to be Newcastle fans and Newcastle owner for different reasons. I think Mike Ashley has every right to be angry about certain perspectives. He bought a football club that he didn't love and didn't support. He bought it for reasons that are his own reasons, and every football club owner buys it for their own reasons. 90% of them not being supporters of the club. If people think that there wasn't a game plan behind Man City owning or Sheikh Mansour buying it for the soft influence of Middle Eastern money and the promotion of certain brands, then they're deluded. Mike Ashley spent £300 or £400 million of his own money and received nothing but vitriol and contempt, some of it owned. So if I'm him, I'm sat there feeling quite frustrated and angry with this, and I'm angry with the people that keep popping up trying to nick the club off him for 2 and 6. If I'm a Newcastle fans, in this modern age of super owners that are prepared to break the bank and have the means to do it, Abramovich and Sheikh Mansour being 2 cases in points, and Newcastle fans have an element of expectation, which, you know, about the size of their football club, which normally involves people like me trying to say they're the biggest football club in Newcastle, and then I get a whole bash of, you know, their opinion about what I am and what I'm not. And I think they have an element of being incredibly angry about and entitlement about the way their club is going, because it does need to kick on. Benitez was an inspirational appointment. Benitez did bring a level of achievement there. It does make me angry that Benitez got the identity of being able to walk on water, because Rafa Benitez has always been about Rafa Benitez, and anyone that really knows football and knows Rafa Benitez will also say that. So I think those two are going into the same bin as the one that you just put Jose Mourinho in, but for different reasons inside the same club.
So already our, if you like, our sort of selection box of sinners is getting nice and full. You've got Jose Mourinho, you've got Mike Ashley, and you've got 52,000 Newcastle fans.